Well, this is taking me out of my comfort zone. I'm a little anxious about teaching in another laboratory.
An exciting idea, but a bit nervous about going in cold to a class I've not met before.
How will two teachers fare when, never having previously met, they swap science labs? Will it lead to changes in the way they organise their classrooms?
30 seconds left, please.
Kit Tarry's science lab at Hampton Community College in Middlesex was totally refurbished in 2005.
I can see it. But
You can. What can you see? Have a quick look.
OK, carefully.
By contrast, Karen Field's lab in Hounslow Manor School, West London, is distinctly retro.
Yours is going purple. Fab colour. Because the room is long and narrow, there's two horseshoes, an inner ring and an outer ring, and I teach from halfway down the classroom. Pupils can see the board, I can see the pupils, everybody's facing me, I can get 32 pupils in the classroom and still manage to teach all of them.
5 miles away at Hampton Community College, Kit Tarry's newly refurbished lab has a flexible layout.
We're going to use a key to identify a creature. This room was refurbished in September 2005. They finished. The basic design in the room is 4 static peninsulas and a workbench along one side with 8 tables that can be moved around the room, so you get maximum flexibility for the space. You two move the table back, please. Girls, could you plug the microscopes in, please? Fantastic. I think you've all got a future as furniture movers. Superb.
So I'm going to mix these carefully, and a little bit more. What kind of chemical do you think I'm going to get? What have you got? Copper oxide, right. I prefer these unfixed wooden tables. A, because I love natural wood. It's living, or was living, and it's got character. Unlike those sterile melamine ones. These ones I acquired, took them out and planed them all down to get rid of as much graffiti as possible. Most pupils are under threat of losing fingers should they actually write on them. OK, now I've got long hair, so I'm going to have to put my hair back. OK, the safety glasses are there. Anybody not know what they're going to be doing? Very simple issue, which is quite interesting, is the stools. They're 2 different heights, one's slightly taller than the other, and the taller ones are on the outer ring and the shorter ones are on the inner ring of the desks, so that pupils can see over the heads of the others and still read the board.
I'm going to talk to you a little bit about particles. What can you tell me about their movement?
So just vibrate, wiggle a tiny
We can wiggle a bit. What could we do with our feet? It's a long, thin room, and we've made that work to our advantage here. I can have a large area in the middle with no desks if I need to, gather the children round for a demonstration, or indeed if I want to do some sort of physical drama activity. It gives me amazing flexibility in my choice of activities in the classroom. Fantastic. You've got a smile on your face now because you've got a bit more energy.
Because the classroom is quite large, I was able to have 15 computers fitted at one end of the laboratory. That means that I can have access to 15 computers. It also means that other members of staff can book this part of the room and send pupils down from other classes to use computers while I'm teaching.
I have a fantastic interactive whiteboard, and I have to say that I use it an awful lot, and I would not be without it now. I have a set of traffic lights. Green traffic light means this is an acceptable level of noise currently in the room. Orange means the level of noise is increasing. If it goes any higher, there may be sanctions. Red means stop.
I've taken the tops off the taps, which makes it very difficult for the pupils to turn the water on unless I give them the taps. Now that saves an awful lot of wet books and wet pupils, unless I want them to be so. Safety glasses are an absolute essential for a laboratory. Unfortunately, they get left on heads and taken to history or geography, so I've got a little pocket area for the safety glasses, which means that I can count them in and out, they don't get scratched up, and the pupils know where to find them. Displays are important, especially for the pupils. I've acquired a number of 1940s and 50s stuffed animals and various curios and curiosities that would normally get thrown out, and I find those interest the pupils an awful lot.
Recently, I took up my knitting needles again and discovered on the internet a knitting pattern for the digestive system. So I have from esophagus all the way through a complete knitted digestive system, which the kids love.
I've acquired a great number of plants in my room, and it's a running battle with the head teacher, who finds them around the school in sadly neglected conditions and puts them into the bin, and I have to rescue them from the bin, and then several months later they're back into life and growing quite happily in my room.
Last year, a group of Year 10 students worked with me to design and build a wildlife pond. They planned it out, worked out how deep it would need to be.
Oops, I've got everything.
That wildlife pond has now become an excellent resource across both Key Stage 3 and 4. What did you identify it as? A water louse! Ooh! Oh, let's have a little look at them.
It's like frog's one.
It does, doesn't it? You're quite right. Well done, everybody. Thank you very much. The next part of your lesson is on combustion, and I will see you next week.
Although they've never met, Karen and Kit have bravely agreed to swap labs and teach each other's children. Will changing classrooms inspire them to take a fresh look at their own lab? Will they come up with useful tips for each other?
A bit nervous this morning. It's an exciting idea, going in cold to a class I've not met before, in a lab I've never seen before. Though I'm hoping to pick up a few tips.
I'm a bit anxious about teaching in a new school, even though it is going to be a newer laboratory.
Having to teach in someone else's science lab may encourage both teachers to look afresh at their own classroom configuration.
Hello, Year 7. My name is Miss Field. I'm a teacher from another school in Hounslow. I have to say, I love this room. It's fantastic. So, would you like to set up your Bunsen burners in pairs at the gas taps, and I'll come round and light the Bunsens for you. Must be magic splints. Okie dokie, I'm coming. Now don't turn the gas on until I'm there, of course, otherwise there'll be a big bang. All right, air holes open. All air holes open. Fantastic, hold it over the bench mat. Brilliant, brilliant. And as soon as it starts to react, you can take it out and watch what happens. All right, turn the gas taps off. Turn the gas taps off. Did you find that what you were left with after you'd heated it up in the Bunsen burner was different? It was dust, was it? What colour? A white dust.
Good morning. My name is Mrs. Tarry. I might not know all your names, but hopefully by the time I finish I'll know some of you. Right then, first job. Stand up, tuck your stools in, put your safety glasses on, tie your hair back and fill your test tubes half fill with water, please. Half full with water. On the sheet I gave you, there's a table. On the front of each of our jars, there is the name of the chemical. I want you to write down the name of the chemical. Copper sulfate for you. Iron sulfate. All right, I don't want to see anybody shaking it up and down and spilling. Remember to be writing the name of the solid and whether it is soluble or insoluble. Okay.
We have that blue one.
So, it's not completely dissolved, but some of it has dissolved, hasn't it?
We asked our experts to cast a fresh eye over these two science labs and come up with some tips.
I love to see how both Karen and Kit were making science real by bringing everyday life into the classroom. My tip for both of them would be to extend that by actually using the windows and thinking about how they could use that for displays to do with light, to do with refraction, diffraction and reflection.
I'd like to see maybe her try some lighter weight tables rather than these quite traditional timber top tables.
Now, poor old Karen here, who's a wonderfully gifted and engaging science teacher, somebody seems to have built a computer lab in the back of her classroom. And children who are in the middle of their geography curriculum and have to walk down, sit in the back of a science lab and do their computing. Now we have laptops. When children want computers, they go and get them, they bring them back. Computer labs are dead. Bury them now, please.
One thing that is apparent is that there is a problem with the acoustics. It's a very reverberant space, and there's a great amount of wall and indeed ceiling above eye height that isn't being used. What we could do is to incorporate some off-the-peg materials that we could apply to those surfaces.
Following the swap, Karen and Kit meet for the first time. They share what they've learnt from the experience and exchange tips.
One of the things I've done to prevent gas taps getting bunged up with pencils and anything else children can stuff in there, a small length of tube put onto the end of the gas tap does stop them managing to get anything in there.
Like Bunsen burner tube or aquarium tube?
Bunsen burner tube's fine. Just put it on there, it stops them getting the pencil right the way in. You take them off whenever you want to.
One of my tips for you, pair of gardening gloves. When I first started teaching, I used to get really cross with how dirty my hands are. So this was something I invented, if you like, for cleaning my whiteboard.
Excellent.
Clean hands all day long.
Excellent.
Here you are, a pair of gardening gloves.
I shall treasure them.
2 weeks have passed. It's time to visit our teachers and see whether they've put any of the tips into practice or altered the way they have organised their labs.
The idea of the melamine tables instead of the wooden tables is quite a good idea, but melamine's not as durable as the wooden tables are, and they're also a lot easier to move. Pupils would be moving them all over the place in the middle of the lesson. Well, I'd rather have a heavier table that's a bit harder to move.
I'm interested to hear the tip about the acoustics. We are already looking at acoustic tiles up on the high ceiling and walls to the back of the classroom. A number of students and myself, along with another couple of members of staff, are actually at the moment making a fabric hanging. Fabric absorbs quite a lot of sound, so we're hoping that will contribute as well. And we've installed additional notice boards within the classroom. All tiny bits of help towards the sound absorption issues.
Being a realistic sort of person, getting rid of the computer space is probably not a good idea. I fought long and hard to get hold of those. Laptops are few and far between and used mostly by teaching staff, not the pupils. I can't ever see that happening in this school.
Gillian's tip about using the windows is an excellent idea. I have in the past done stained glass displays, and I've also acquired some of those special pens that they use on the windows in restaurants and cafes to advertise. They wash off with water afterwards, and we've got a giant cell on one of our windows at the moment.
I thought Kit's tip about the gardening glove for cleaning the board was absolutely marvellous, and I've gone home with clean hands ever since, as I shall now demonstrate. And voila, on the glove, not on the hand.